Have you ever received this message from Gemini telling you that you've hit your usage limits even though you only sent a few messages or asked it to create a couple of videos? What is going on here? Well, you've hit your Gemini usage limits. And if you want to avoid it from ever happening again, you need to understand what your limits are and what kind of prompts burn through your usage the fastest. Google won't give you that info, but I will. In fact, I'll break down Gemini's usage limits in a clear way so you can easily manage it in the future. And I'll even share with you some sneaky tricks to get around Gemini's usage limits. Let's get into it. So first, let's look at where you can find your usage limits. On both the web app and on your phone app, you want to click on the bottom left on the gear icon and then click on usage limits. Opening this up, you'll notice you have two different limits, your current usage and your weekly limit. As you begin to prompt Gemini and use it, the percentage used under both your current usage and your weekly limit will begin to increase. If either one of them reaches 100%, like we have on this account right here, you're not going to be able to use most of Gemini's capabilities until it resets. The current usage resets every 5 hours, and the weekly limit resets once a week. So in this account, for instance, I'm at a current usage of 100%. So I'm not going to be able to use most of Gemini's capabilities until this resets in a couple of hours. Up here, you'll notice that it also tells you that advanced models and features can take up and burn through more usage. But what exactly does that mean? Well, if you head back into Gemini, you'll see that there are a lot of different ways that you can use it. You can just send it a text prompt, or you can ask it to create images or videos. You could have it write code for you. And for each of those, you can select between 3 different models and 2 different thinking levels. Changing any one of these settings will change how quickly you burn through your usage. Some of that's pretty obvious, like creating videos is more demanding, so it will consume your usage faster. But the question is, how much faster? And what about the other settings and variables? There are so many different combinations. If only there was someone who has absolutely no life and has tested all of them. Luckily for you, that's what I'm here for. Over here, I, with a little help from Gemini, put together this quite extensive spreadsheet where I've tested many of those settings. You can see I've tested different prompts with different models, different thinking levels across 4 different accounts: a free account, a $20 Pro account, a $100 Ultra account, and a $200 Ultra account. You can see I asked it to do things like find the best acai bowls around me that are under $10, summarize long PDFs, summarize YouTube videos, create images, and create videos. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with all of these details. Instead, I'm going to summarize them into 5 rules of thumb that will help you manage your usage much better. So first, some good news. If you're using Gemini for anything that's text-based, like asking it questions or having it summarize long PDFs for you or YouTube videos, then for the most part, you're going to be fine with any of the plans. But there are a few outliers. For instance, if you're on a free plan and you switch the model to Pro, it will burn through your usage a lot faster than you probably want it to. For me, I burned through 23% of my current usage with just a single prompt on the Pro model. Similarly, if you have a Pro subscription, a $20 Pro subscription, and you turn on extended thinking under the thinking level, that burned through 10% of my usage with just a single prompt, which is probably more than you want it to. So generally speaking, I suggest everyone leave the model on flash all the time. That's certainly what I'm going to do even on my Ultra account. It's an extremely good model that is going to get you great results. And unless you have a really good reason to use extended thinking, I would leave it on standard all the time. With these settings, if you're just doing things that are text-based, you're going to get a lot of usage on all of the plans, including the free plan. Next, I took a look at music generation. This was the category I spent the least amount of time on and just did one quick test where I left all of them on flash, the thinking level on standard, and I didn't even put in a prompt. I just selected the template called bad music. And across all the paid plans, it used about 1% of my current usage and 0% of my weekly usage. The only outlier here was the free plan. That burned through 13% for one song. So I probably wouldn't create music on the free plan. Instead, if you're on the free plan, you might want to check out Google Flow Music. You can find it at flowmusic.app. With this, you get credits that are separate from your Gemini usage. It varies depending on your pricing plan, but even on your free account, you will get credits for Flow Music. And for creating music, this is much more robust and built out than creating music in Gemini. My rule of thumb is if you're on one of the paid plans and you just want to quickly create some music, Gemini is fine for that. It's not going to burn through your limits that quickly. But if you're on a free plan, or if you're on a paid plan and really want something that's designed for creating more elaborate music, that's what Flow Music is for, and it will save you a little usage. As an interesting aside, every time I ran this test and chose bad music as a template, it always created a song about an axolotl, no matter what account I generated the music on. It's kind of interesting. Let's look now at how much of your usage you're going to burn through if you use Gemini for any type of coding. The simplest way for beginners to code with Gemini is to come into the settings and to turn on Canvas. And then you can ask it to create something for you, like a website or an app. Here, for instance, I asked it to create a landing page for a fake business of mine. And I had to do it 3 different times across all of my different accounts with each of the different models. Looking at the results, they're not too surprising. Using the weakest model, Flashlight, it uses between 0 and 1% of the current limit across all the plans, even the free one. If you bump it up to Flash, though, it will use 16% of your limit on the free plan just to generate the landing page once. And of course, if you ask it to make any changes, you're going to burn through even more of that. On the Pro plan, it only burns through 3%, and on the Ultra plans, it's between 0 and 1%, so not too bad. With the Pro model, it gets even worse because with the free plan, you burn through 33% of your current limit with just one prompt, and on the Pro plan, it goes down to 9%. So this is one of those categories where it definitely helps to have a higher paid subscription. But of course, it doesn't just matter which model is the most efficient, the results also matter. So here are all the landing pages that it created for us. This one was created with the Pro model. This one was created with Flash, which is right in the middle. And then this one was created with Flashlight, which is the weakest model. And if you look at all 3 of them, they're all great websites, but there definitely is a major difference between the Flashlight model and the Flash model. Flash looks really, really nice. Pro also looks really nice. I can't really say, though, that one, in terms of the Pro and the Flash, are better. I think both look fantastic. So for that reason, if I'm going to do any type of coding, I'm going to stick with Flash. It seems like it's a great balance between performance and cost. And that would actually be my recommendation for most people. But if you're going to be using this for any serious type of coding, I highly suggest that you use Google Anti-Gravity. It's a separate app for your computer. And what's nice about it is that Google has given users 3 times the normal limit inside of Anti-Gravity, which is separate from your Gemini usage. And just in general, it is better set up for coding than Gemini is. So my rule of thumb here is pretty simple. If you're on the free plan, avoid coding entirely. You're just going to burn through your usage too quickly. On a free plan, stick with Flash if you just want some quick, simple app. But for anything more serious, make sure you're using Anti-Gravity. All right, I want to talk about images now and how efficient Gemini is at creating them. This one really surprised me. I thought it would burn through the usage quite quickly, especially on some of the more advanced models. But on all the plans, it was actually quite efficient. On all the paid plans, it on average used less than 1% of my current usage to create any images, and even to edit images that I uploaded, it on average used 1% and sometimes less than 1%. The free plan was the only plan that had some significant bump in usage, but even that was only between 2 and 3%, which really wasn't that bad. So for images, I just wouldn't worry about your usage limit all that much and just use whatever model you think is best. And for me, when it comes to images, that is Flash. All right, so far, so good. Everything feels pretty clear. But now we get to generating videos. And this is where things begin to get a little murkier. I actually ran this test several times because I kept getting strange results that didn't make any sense to me. Here, for instance, you can see that on my $20 Pro plan, I created one video using Flash, and it burned through 33% of my usage. I then created another video, and it never finished generating, but burned through the rest of the usage. On the $100 Ultra plan, I created one video using Flash, and it went through 11% of my usage. But when I bumped it up to Pro, it burned through 30%, which is a little strange because on the $200 Ultra plan, both times with two different models, it only burned through 9%. You'll also notice that on the free plan, we don't have any results, and that's because you're not able to generate any videos on a free plan. There were also a few occasions where I asked it to generate a video for me, and it started generating, burned through a lot of my usage, and never actually finished the video. So it definitely feels like something is broken here, and I hope they do fix it soon. If they do, I'll give you an update in the description or the pinned comment down below. Regardless, there was one pattern that became very obvious to me. Generating videos with Gemini burns through a lot of your usage. 33% for one video on the Pro plan is pretty typical in my experience. The only account that I can comfortably generate videos on is my $200 Ultra plan. Personally, I would prefer if videos were a separate usage and if Google gave us a definitive number of generations. They could add a third bar down here that says you're allowed to generate 15 videos per day on the Pro plan, or more on the more expensive plans. I think that would make a lot more sense. And in fact, they already kind of do that. If you go over to Google Flow, this is included with your Gemini subscription, and it's a place you can generate both images and videos. It's separate from your Gemini usage and instead uses these credits. On a free account, you get 50 credits per day. And if you come over to a generation, you can see that an 8-second video costs you 25 credits. So you can make 2 videos completely for free inside of Flow, even though you can't make any videos inside a free Gemini account. A $20 Pro account gives you 1,000 credits per month, an Ultra $100 plan gives you 10,000 credits per month, and an Ultra $200 plan gives you 25,000 credits per month. So if you generate videos inside of Flow, it will be a lot easier to manage your usage than it is inside of Gemini. And that's my rule of thumb. If you want to generate videos, I just wouldn't do it inside of Gemini. There are too many factors that are out of our control and too many things about it that don't make sense. Just come over to Flow and generate your videos inside of here. And that way you know exactly how many generations you can create based on the number of credits you have left. So those are my 5 rules of thumb, but I also have 2 final tips for you. First, remember that even when you run out of usage limits, you can still use Gemini with Flash Lite. You won't be able to create images or videos even if you have a paid plan, but you can use it for basic things. And my final tip for you is don't forget about Notebook LM. With Notebook LM, you can upload sources like files, websites, PDFs, articles, and ask it to summarize that information for you, create infographics, and even videos. And nothing you do in here counts against your Gemini usage. It's separate. So if you find yourself running up against your Gemini limits quite often, you may want to try moving some of your workflows over to Notebook LM to offload some of that. I suggest you spend some time exploring Notebook LM because it's really powerful. The fact that you can get so much out of it for free is honestly kind of incredible. Now, I didn't get to test every single combination of settings because that would probably be impossible. But I think I got enough of a sampling to be able to give you enough information to help you manage your usage effectively. It's also important to understand, though, that at any point, these can change. Google could increase or decrease the limits at any time, or they may impose stricter rate limits during peak hours and relax them during off-peak hours. Because all of that's hidden behind the scenes, that's just something we don't have control over. So I suggest you instead focus on what you can control. And finally, if it wasn't already clear, I spent many hours testing the usage limits for this video and spent hundreds of dollars on Gemini accounts that I really don't need just to help you out. So if you appreciate that, let me know that in the comments section down below, give the video a thumbs up, and consider subscribing to the channel. Your comments are really what motivate me to make more helpful videos just like this one. So please keep them coming. I promise I do read every single comment myself. That's all I have for you today on Gemini usage limits. But if you want to dive deeper into Notebook LM and learn how to get the most out of that to complement what you're doing in Gemini, click on this video right here. I made a complete course on how to use Notebook LM completely for free and made it available for you on YouTube. So if you want my full comprehensive guide, click on this video right here, and I'll see you there in 1 second. Bye for now.